to the Panic
This is Fantasy Football Almost Daily with your hosts, Paul Charchian, Christian Peterson, Matt Harrison, and Brian Johnson.
We begin with Ben Roethlisberger. Looked very rusty last week in a bad game. By the way, tip of the hat to, frankly, me for correctly grading him. We saw all the warning signs for Ben Roethlisberger last week, and we graded him appropriately.
Tip your crown, King.
No.
He
Good
listened
point.
to
You've
me.
got a hat. Why, thank you. Do you tip from the front or the back? I thought the tip was...
You can't...
Tip's more
there's nothing
down,
to grab
isn't it?
here.
Well, no, just hair.
It doesn't have a brim.
No, it is a brimless crown. Almost most are.
Yeah.
There is no crown with a brim, I don't
You
think.
should probably work on that.
Just 2 passing touchdowns in his last 3 home games. We know the home road splits for Ben Roethlisberger. It's almost always legit. The appropriate level of panic for Ben Roethlisberger, our reigning champion, gets to go first as always. Matt, what do you got?
Yes, I have none for Ben Roethlisberger. Let me tell you a little bit why. We have a long storied past of Ben Roethlisberger returning from injuries now.
Yeah.
It's now 6 times in his career that he's returned from a multi-week injury. In the first game back from an injury, he always comes back too soon, by the way.
Yeah.
He's averaging 237 yards and 1.5 touchdowns.
That's not good.
In the second game back from the injury, he's
the
averaging
blow-up game.
330 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a huge offense. He's got maybe the best wide receiver in the league, and he's going to bounce back this week. So I'm feeling no panic on Ben Roethlisberger, very confident in his prospects.
Okay.
It's good to be king.
Christine Michael, 5 carries for 1 yard. Thankfully, a touchdown last week, but the overall trend for Christine Michael is very negative, averaging just 3.2 yards per carry over the last 5 weeks. Bad offensive line, certainly part of it, but that's not the whole story, is it, guys? Appropriate level of panic on Christine Michael. Is it none, some, or acute? Challenger, Brian.
Cute.
Acute.
So Seattle's O-line, awful, like you said. Football Outsiders has a stuffed ranking, meaning how often the running back is hit behind the line of scrimmage. They're dead last in that, and that's not a good thing. That's a very bad thing. So Michael is a good runner, but he's got nowhere to go. He's only caught 1 pass over the last 2 games. He had 11 catches in his 3 games prior to that.
No, great point.
CJ Prosise is kind of taking that work from him, so that hurts. Thomas Rawls is coming back. He should steal a little bit of carries. Michael should stay the starter. Russell Wilson looks more mobile, so he's running more now, or should be, which is only going to hurt Michael more. So I'm acutely worried, but it all revolves around that line for the most part. But, I'm worried. Sell if you can.
All right. Next up, Devonte Booker. Presumed that with C.J. Anderson out, everything was going to tilt towards Devonte Booker getting the vast majority of the work and being super successful behind a run-first offense. But it hasn't worked out that way at all through a few games. Devonte Booker's appropriate level of panic. Is it none, some, or acute? We go back to our champion, Matt.
I have some as my answer, and my microphone's deciding to leave at the same time. Booker was involved in the offense when C.J. Anderson was present, as we all know. It wasn't a true timeshare, but Booker had, his little wedge of carries. Right. By all accounts, the coaching staff thought C.J. Anderson was a better runner. He was the lead back. So now we have a less talented runner, also with the same coaching staff, and he's supposed to just take over C.J. Anderson's carries. I think that means that we're probably looking at more of a 50-50 split with Capri Bibbs, especially since Booker is running poorly. And one of the things that I am worried about is the schedule doesn't. He's got a chance to get it right this week against New Orleans.
Everybody gets it right against New Orleans.
And that's
Juwan Harris got it right against New Orleans.
Really, that's one of the reasons that it's some and not acutely worried. But after that, he gets a bye week. Obviously, you're not starting him there. He gets Kansas City in week 12 and 16. The Chiefs haven't allowed a running back score in 5 weeks. Jacksonville is in week 13. They've held running backs to 88 or fewer yards in 6 of 8 games. Tennessee, who's been better against the run.
No, they've been good against the run all year.
And then the Patriots, who at any given time could be up by 20 points, rendering the running game useless. So the schedule doesn't favor Devonte Booker besides this week. So what you hope for, a huge game against New Orleans.
Sell.
That's why it's some level of panic. So hang on to him this week.
Excellent
Let's get
schedule
out.
analysis. Panic Room contestant number 4 is Brandon Marshall. Now, it goes without saying, his quarterback's not doing him any favors. Ryan Fitzpatrick has been straight up bad for most of this year. Now he enters this week's game bad and with a bulky knee. That's never a good combination.
A bulky knee?
Bulky.
Oh, it's like big.
Not like the Balkans. Bulky.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You have a little bit of a cold.
I do have a cold. not a little. I got a full-blown cold. He's got an emotional guy that he can be. Had a bit of an issue on the sidelines last week, although he did not take it out on the field goal net thing. So
No.
there's that.
That's the other New York lead receiver.
That's a good point. Your appropriate level of panic for Brandon Marshall. Acute, none, or some. Brian.
I will go with some.
Some.
At least 8 targets in every game for Marshall. More than half of those games with double-digit targets. 4 red zone targets last week. He's tied for the lead among wide receivers in that category. The opportunities are there. He's certainly drawing more attention now that Eric Decker's been on IR for the last month or so. Quincy Enunwa hasn't stepped up, so we've seen a lot of double teams, which isn't helping his cause. His schedule is a mixed bag moving forward. Rams this week, somewhat neutral. Trumaine Johnson's back, so it's a little tougher for him. But then bye in New England. Those are 2 bad weeks. But then Indy, at San Fran, Miami, 3 good weeks. And then at New England in the championship.
So a mixed bag.
A mixed bag. Ryan Fitzpatrick looks like he'll play. If he goes down, though, I'm very worried because it's Hackenberg or Bryce.
It'll be Bryce Petty.
That's a cute level of concern right there. But it sounds like Fitz is going to play. So for now, it's some for me, but it's borderline acute.
Okay. Our 5th and final guy, Jarvis Landry, who's only had 1 touchdown all season. He hasn't scored in 5 straight games. And Jay Ajayi's taking a lot of touches away from him as the orientation of the whole offense has gone from pass to run. Let's talk about Jarvis Landry's appropriate level of panic, acute, none, or some. And we begin with Matt Harrison.
It's acute, but at the same time, it's acute because Ryan Tannehill sucks at football. And I've had a long storied past about saying Ryan Tannehill is terrible. Adam Gase finally figured it out and started handing the ball to Jay Ajayi. Tannehill has topped 260 yards 0 times since week 4. That's 5 games. Since that time, he's thrown 3 touchdown passes in those games. Landry could be the best receiver in the league, and we wouldn't even know it because Tannehill can't get him the ball, and they don't trust him to put the ball in the air anymore. So you got to be acutely worried about Jarvis Landry.